Welcome back to another professional opening of Loathsome Things, a horror movie podcast. My name is John, and I am one of the two hosts, which means that with me on this fine, frigid morning is my co-host, Josh. Josh? How's it going?
Hello, Loathsome fans. It's going quite well, John. I love the fact that since we don't have intro music,
Yeah.
they're gonna hit play and hear that.
I always love that we just jump right in with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, just straight into the unpleasantness.
3, 2, 1, and I'm uncomfortable.
How very loathsome of us.
Wow, so it's a new year.
And a new us.
A new us. We've made it through 2021 somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And we are back for another year of horror goodness or badness.
Horror various.
Yeah, another year of horror various.
Yeah. Stradivarius's more horror movie brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What a good joke, Josh.
Oh, man, we're off to a great start.
Oh, boy.
Well, speaking of horror movies, Josh,
Yeah.
What horror movie are we going to be discussing on this fine day?
This fine day, we will be discussing William Asher's Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker, which was also then later re-released under the title Night Warning, which somehow made less sense than the original title, which didn't super make a lot of sense.
It was also called Nightmare Maker, briefly.
Okay.
That was how it was released in England, but was immediately labeled a video nasty. It was one of the first British video nasties, which if you watch the movie Censor, you can see a little bit about the world of video nasties.
I could see this being a video nasty. It's kind of nasty.
It's fairly nasty. Not as nasty as the fake movie that they are kind of watching in the movie Censor, but still, nasty on its own.
Yeah, they do a really nasty thing with milk in this movie.
They do.
It was like, ooh, wow.
It was resubmitted in 1987 to the British Board of Film Classification under the title The Evil Protege.
Oh, God. Why?
And was forthwith still banned.
Oh, my God.
I don't know why. That's really bad.
They're just like, all right, what if we gave it a title that had nothing to do with it? No one will be reminded of the movie via this title.
The Evil Protege. So pretentious.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with this.
It even has a fucking accent in it. The protege.
Protege.
So, William Asher. Who's William Asher?
Well, I'm glad you asked, John. William Asher is primarily a TV director. He directed 131 episodes of Bewitched and 102 episodes of I Love Lucy, both of them most of the show.
Wow.
Yes, he also directed a single episode of The Twilight Zone. I looked it up and I was like, that's not one that I remember.
He directed a single forgettable episode of The Twilight Zone.
Yeah, he also directed movies back in the day, including such hits as Beach Party, Muscle Beach Party, Bikini Beach, Beach Blanket Bingo, and How to Stuff a Wild Bikini.
Oddly, some of those are kind of the beach genre classics.
Yeah, and then somehow he ended up making this movie.
Somebody said, let's adapt a novel in which the characters were actually relatively well fleshed out, apparently, and let's adapt that and make a extremely problematic horror film.
Oh man, is it ever? But also kind of progressive. Like, it's problematically progressive and interesting and possibly not super greatly directed, but definitely greatly written.
Yeah. And it does feature, centers around an amazing performance by Susan Tyrell.
Yep.
Fantastic.
As Aunt Cheryl Roberts +1.
She is amazing.
Also, I gotta say, Bo Svenson in here kicked a lot of ass. You don't like watching him. Anytime he's on the screen, you're like, ooh, I don't like this. But he really delivers on the goods that needed to be delivered on in this movie.
Yeah, he did a great job of playing a detestable, gigantic police sheriff.
Yeah, with really bad taste in office decor.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Calm down, Wyatt Earp. Bo Svenson, by the way, was born in Sweden.
Oh, I couldn't tell by the name.
I know. And he was apparently, and then his dad moved the family to the U.S., and he grew up for quite a while in Georgia, where he kind of picked up. Apparently he learned how to use that accent. It's not something that he actually, naturally had.
Oh, wow.
Just worked for him in movies.
Nice. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, he does a great job in this. I don't know if I've ever seen him in anything else.
Oh, I've seen him. I mean, he was one of those character actors that showed up in a lot of 70s things or 80s things, I guess. And so I recognized him, but I couldn't think of where. Part of the problem was that he looks like Jerry What's-His-Nuts from Convoy.
Okay.
Country singer.
Oh, yes. Yeah. He does put off that vibe.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Susan Tyrell apparently logged some time. Speaking of proteges, she was one of the Warhol folk, apparently.
Oh, part of that entourage?
Yes, she kind of had a reputation for being quirky, which, isn't hard to gather from watching this movie.
No. Oh, my God. All the face stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She lost the lower part of both of her legs later in life. And she lived in Austin, Texas. She had like some thrombosis issue or something, some circulatory issue. And so I've found a picture of her when she was probably in her 70s or so. She died a few years back, but she's like in a wheelchair and she has these fake legs, but they're the kind that are like designed with like tattoo type illustrations and stuff on them.
Always cool.
Her hair's all crazy and like she looks like a character out of a movie basically, and that's the way she conducted herself in real life, which is awesome.
Yeah, I can't imagine like going over to this lady's house and her just being like boring.
No. No, she definitely chews up the scenery.
Yeah, I could imagine going to her house and being maybe a little afraid, but not bored.
Yeah, she's a little too good at playing the crazy lady.
Oh man, she was made for this role.
She's fantastic.
Yep.
The movie also has Jimmy McNichol.
Jimmy McNichol.
Brother of Christy McNichol, who, if you're old like me, you remember her from the 70s and 80s. She was kind of one of those teen stars that everybody loved. And then later it came out that she was a lesbian. So that was what probably killed her career.
Whoops.
Because they didn't want to, can't have that.
Yeah, that just ruins the whole thing.
But this was our brother. He was pretty popular around the time, too. They were both in all the teen magazines and stuff. They had originally considered I was going to say the film also features Bill Paxton.
Yeah. William Paxton.
Yeah, that's right. William is credited that way, isn't he?
Yeah, he's credited as William Paxton. This is before he'd landed on Bill Paxton and before he had temporarily landed on Wild Bill Paxton.
Nice. Apparently they had considered him for the lead role. The director really liked him, I think it was, but the producers wanted to go with McNichol because he was already an established star.
Yeah, and he's got better nipples.
He does. He really does have wonderful nipples.
Yes, which we will be seeing a lot of in this movie.
It's a nipply movie to be sure.
It's quite nipplesome. There's a lot of breasts are bared.
A lot of breasts. It's very breasty.
Yeah, sometimes bloody.
Yeah, it can be considerably bloody at times.
Yeah. There's also in here Steve Eastin as Coach Landers, a actor that you might have seen in other things, and a character that you're like, oh, this guy's gonna not be important, and then he is.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other cop, the like goofy sidekick cop, who's another character actor that you see in everything.
Yeah.
I don't forget that guy's name.
I
It
have
doesn't
no
matter.
idea. But yeah, he was another character where like you the first time you see him, you're like, oh, okay, that guy doesn't matter, and then he just keeps showing up.
He keeps showing up in a Colonel Sanders tie.
Yeah, and just kind of being real creepy. Oh, hello,
Well,
girl. Let me ambush you from behind this tree.
there's a lot of creepy in this movie.
Oh man, is there? Also, I wanted to mention there's some bit part guy in here named Randy Norton, and he and Susan Tyrell would go on to work together in the Ralph Bakshi and Frank Frazetta film Fire and Ice.
That's really cool.
Yeah, what a cool connection.
Man, originally they wanted to use Patty Duke for the role of Aunt Cheryl, but
And
for whatever reason they went ahead and went with someone who was perfect.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a good one. Like, what if they had been like, all right, so the movie Misery.
Yeah.
So what if instead of Kathy Bates they had done what's her name? Suzanne? Is that what it's called? Roseanne.
Roseanne.
Yeah, like what if they're like, all right, no Kathy Bates, we're gonna go with Roseanne Barr instead. And then they're like, you know what? We're not gonna do Roseanne Barr, we're gonna do Kathy Bates, and then it is just perfect.
Roseanne Barr.
Yeah.
Cock-a-doodie! Worst movie ever made.
It would be so bad.
James Caan and Roseanne Barr.
No one's horrified by the foot, they're just horrified by the action.
Remember when he was hobbled? What?
Oh no, I was just cringing and folding back into my seat by the line deliveries.
What if she went on to also make that movie about elderly people with Jack Nicholson, where Kathy Bates gets naked in the hot tub, but it was Roseanne? I'm just fleshing this out.
What other movies could we replace an actor with Roseanne? Let's see. How about Jurassic Park, but instead of Jeff Goldblum, it's Roseanne Barr.
Remember the famous scene
Go faster!
where she's standing by the immense pile of T-Rex dung?
Yes. Flirting with Laura Dern.
I would go see that movie right now.
Yes, please make this movie. But then forget to pay Roseanne Barr.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And then fire her because she says, well, no, I was going to say says something homophobic, but in this case, she'd fit right in.
Yeah, that's true. Man, she'd be great in this movie as Julia, as played by Julia Duffy.
Julia Duffy, who was 30 when this movie was made.
Yeah. She was just a little bit like a whole decade older than Jimmy McNichol.
Isn't that crazy? She really actually looks like she could have been a high school student.
Yep. But
he doesn't, though.
No, but man,
he's about
he
23.
wears some red pants.
Yes, he certainly can. And there is no shortage of shirts not being worn. I don't know what the hell I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, we get lots of. He plays basketball, and so because things have to be as uncomfortable as possible. There's lots of shirts versus skins, and everyone is just wearing the tiniest little like 1970 shorts.
It's really creepy.
Yeah, just standing around wearing almost nothing and saying homophobic things to each other. Fantastic.
Oh yeah, which I guess brings us to that. We definitely want to put a trigger warning on this one.
Yes,
for a number of reasons. Potential incest.
Wow, he just gave the game away.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Lots of homophobia.
Yeah, lots of homophobia, including the word, I'm going to say it now. I'm sorry, you guys. They use the word fag in this movie, and it is used to artistic effect. So it gets bandied about quite a bit. There's also a false rape accusation, which, yikes.
Yeah, it's so it definitely has some of the trigger warning issues that pop up in tons of 70s and 80s movies.
Oh
This
yeah.
one's certainly no different. If anything, it's more intensely so than some of these.
Yeah,
Except
yeah.
maybe Spider Baby.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I feel like with this one, it's more front and center as like part of the plot, whereas with Spider Baby, it was just kind of like, oh, and also one of these.
Yeah. And also, this guy's the R word. That's
Yeah.
normal. Everyone says it.
Yeah.
No commentary there.
What was the deal back then? Like, so we've got this movie and like Spider Baby. Like, could they just not choose a name for a movie in the day?
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that. It was just a thing, I guess, where for some reason at that time it was perfectly acceptable for people to go, Butcher, Baker, Nightmare Maker. No, I'm gonna go with Mother's Dead, which apparently was another one of the titles they were thinking about using.
What?
It's ridiculous.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
And then the British were like, nah, I think we're gonna go with the evil protege.
Protege. We're so close to France already.
I don't want to ban it if it's called Nightmare Maker.
Whoa. Has anybody seen my cocaine?
My cocaine. It's like a little tin. I've got like a little. It's got like white powder in it. It's me cocaine. Wow,
We're so good at this.
this is really bad.
Oh, John, before we
Yes.
go into the full-blown spoilers of this movie,
Sure.
do you think that the nice folks at home that are still listening to us should go ahead and just keep listening through to all the spoilers, or should they watch the movie first?
Absolutely watch the movie first.
Yeah.
I went into it, I kind of had a pretty good idea of what was going to happen, at least the first time I watched it. Of course, obviously the second time I knew exactly what was going to happen. But
Oh, that's good.
yeah, but I think it would have been but I think it would have been even more hilarious and probably added to the ridiculousness if I didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie is really good to watch if you have not read a summary or listened to two guys summarize it. It's very surprising.
It's a lot of fun to watch. As we've mentioned before, we have a fan of the show that is actually not a big fan of horror films. He's just a fan of the show. So for a guy like him, that this movie would probably fall firmly in the don't watch it category, because these trigger warning items do make him very uncomfortable. So for him, he likes to hear us just kind of riff about it, and he's perfectly happy not seeing it. If you fall in that camp, then yeah, I mean, first of all, clearly there's something severely wrong with you that you would want to just listen to us blather for no reason.
Yeah.
But if you fall in that camp, don't watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, this one is troublesome, but if you are like super into horror movies and you're super into the obscure horror movies, and especially if you're really, really, really into transgressive horror,
Yeah.
this is like striking gold. It's kind of awesome.
Yeah, it's become a bit of a cult classic, and I think it's well deserved. I mean, you could make that argument for a number of reasons, if only for Susan Tyrell's performance, which is, I mean, she really is just great to watch.
Yeah. Every time it like went away from her, I was like, oh no, and then it would come back, and it's just, you're so excited to see her because you know something's gonna happen and it's gonna be great.
I mean, to be fair, I was incredibly impressed with the neighbor woman's hair, but it wasn't enough to sustain a movie.
No, it was really just the minor entertainment of the hair to face ratio being all wrong.
the Trumpish quality of her wave.
Yep. The amber wave of grain.
Oh shit.
So go, unless you don't want to, go watch this movie. You can find it some places. I don't know. And then come back and listen to us talk about all of it.
Yeah, it's not hard to find, including some places that are free.
Hey, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, shall we dig into it?
Let's dig in, sir. You begin with we.
Okay, I'm gonna begin. We movie opens with a horrible child's parents driving away, and yeah, he really is a horrible child.
Horrible
Uh,
child.
Leaving him in the care of his aunt, who you immediately get the impression she's a little too eager to watch him as they go on their trip that they'll soon be returning from. Uh, on their trip, they realize very quickly that the brakes don't work in their car. And of course, the way that they resolve this problem is by driving really fast on a very, very hazardous looking cliffside.
I like that.
Just weaving and just going all over the place.
Narrowly avoiding death a dozen times while just speeding up.
Like never once considering maybe going into the wall on the side or just something that might slow the car down.
Nope. They want to preserve the car's exterior. No collision repair. No.
This is the 70s, 80s era, and we're in a movie, so it's very important that we speed off a cliff and explode.
Yes.
Like all fucking 70s movies with cliffs in them.
I love that the explosion happens like way later. Like they land on the ground and then it's like 20 seconds later there's not been any fire and just all of a sudden also kaboom.
This whole scene is brilliant. Like they're just going faster and faster, panicking, and then of course they come up on a logging truck.
Yeah, with that one long log.
The one long log with that red flag that never does anything.
Nope.
Except signal exactly where that pole will be going. Right through the windshield in Dad's face.
Yep, Toro.
Man, that was pretty good, the way his head just gets like forced back as the log goes through the car.
Oh, it was real good. Yeah, straight out of... Okay, so this is before Beyond the Door 3, where a similar thing happened, and way, of course, before Final Destination, where this stuff happened. Just great. I love that we've been accidentally finding these pole through the windshield movies. I love it.
It really is a wonderful little element.
Yes. Let's see if we can find another one even older than this.
It's so great. So the pole goes through the car, and then the car is now basically like hooked onto the truck because there's a pole going through the top of it.
Yep.
And it's just dragging, like whipping the car around on the road and stuff.
Yep. Back and forth. It would be very hard for the trucker to not see that in his side view mirrors. But does he stop? No.
No. And then the entire thing, the log and the car, detach from the truck and go whipping over the side of a cliff.
Yup. Yeah, with lots of screaming.
So many screaming.
Yes.
It was just like, okay. And then it just, ah! And then you just look at the car, and then there's a massive explosion.
Yeah. You really get to like see the crunch of it for a long time. Like it does a little crunch at the bottom. And you're like, oh wow, that looks severe, and then
I love that when they do that, because it's not like the lady survived. I mean,
oh no.
I don't think you needed to really like make it go splody for you to be convinced that she wasn't going to make it.
You know, like, well, we already ruined the car.
So that happened.
Yeah.
And then we cut to 14 years later, and Billy is now basically a grown ass man who's technically supposed to be in high school, who sleeps half naked.
Yeah.
And he's grown up under the tender care of his intense Aunt Cheryl, who is the exact same age she was when they handed him off.
She just has a slightly different haircut.
14 years later, which, by the way, is a wig.
Yeah.
And because the hair thing that happens later was actually her hair.
Oh my God, terrifying. I knew a lady that looked exactly like her at the end of this movie, and I was just like, oh no. It's
one of the few women that looks better in a wig than her actual hair. So she climbs on top of him to wake him up, and is like
Mm.
straddling him on his back and cat purring into his ear while
Mm.
clawing at his shoulders.
Ugh.
Billy.
Ugh.
It's so disgusting.
Oh, it's so uncomfortable.
I was like, oh, it's going to be one of these movies.
Oh, no.
And boy, is it.
Does it ever?
Yeah, so we cut to a scene where Billy's at basketball practice, and he is he's on the Skins side, and he's playing against his apparent arch nemesis on the team, played by a one William Paxton,
Yeah.
who is extremely homophobic and a total douche.
Oh, man, ever so much.
But also at the practice is Billy's wonderful girlfriend, Julie, who is taking some wonderful photographs of the ball blurring through the air and bricking against the rim. And Billy, part of his arm maybe blurring through the screen.
Yeah.
I think she's got a bright history in photography.
A bright history indeed.
It's ridiculous.
I really like that also, like, part of it is the camera switches to, like, her shutter view with all of the, like, the blackout and then the still frame for a second. For no reason. It never comes back.
It never comes back. She's a terrible photographer.
Yeah.
It's just something they put in there. Maybe it was in the book or something. I don't know.
Maybe. There's lots of weird stuff in this. Because then before even all this, he gets on his, like, bicycle or whatever, and as he's leaving, there's, like, weird little, like, happy music for a second, like really crappy sitcom happy music, and it's just there for a second, and then it goes away.
It's like they're trying to set a mood. I don't know what that mood is.
Yeah.
But they're trying to set it.
It's almost like they fired the first director, and then this guy was here too.
It's ridiculous. So the practice ends. There's some radically homophobic exchange, I believe, with him and William Paxton's character.
Yeah.
And then the Coach Landers wants to have a talk with Billy. Hey, Billy, why don't you come back to my office? I got something I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So we never hear any of the conversation. We don't see any of it. It's just implied that they're together in the office for a really long time.
Yes, like a like suspiciously long time. Like, people are commenting on how long they're in the office together.
Yeah, because isn't Julie irritated that he'd been in there so long or something like that?
Well, yeah, she did, it seems, wait around for him to finish his meeting with Coach Landers, and she's just, like, hanging out in the school hallway alone, just her and a camera and nothing to do.
Great.
Yes.
So he goes home and very excitedly, because apparently, even though he's lived with his Aunt Cheryl for 14 years, he hasn't figured out that she's a complete fucking creep yet.
Nope.
So he's very excited. Aunt Cheryl, I can get a full athletic scholarship to the University of Denver. And she's not happy.
No.
She's like, and he's shocked, as if he wouldn't know that she was going to react this way.
Yeah. She's so not happy that she stops making his favorite spaghetti.
That's right.
Yeah.
Make it yourself.
Yeah. She's like, it's your favorite. Because Roseanne Barr.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. And then she slaps the hell out of him.
Yeah.
And like wanders off all defeated with a tray of pickled things.
Yeah, she has pickled things, like pig's feet even, and more normal stuff.
Eggs, and do they look like tomatoes or red peppers or something?
Yeah.
And she just like wanders off. And she also does that thing that the lady did in the old lady in the movie about the fungus that we did, where she talks to herself all the time.
Oh, John, which movie about the fungus?
I know, it's all of them. With the couple, the honeydew.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But Aunt Cheryl's
mumbling.
Yeah, Aunt Cheryl's saying something, but I just can't make out what it is. But she's kind of dejected, she goes into this shed where she takes her pickled stuff, and it's It's like the Friday the 13th shed
Mhm.
where Mama is kept.
Yes, it is. It's exactly like that. I didn't even think about that.
I was like, wow, I think I've seen this shed before. It is, as you say, a gross, drippy shed.
Yes. You can hear dripping. It just looks not good. I don't want to eat pickles out of there. It's not okay.
It's like where they keep their sump pump or some shit.
Oh
I don't know.
yeah, sump pump.
I don't know what's going on in there, but she decides that she's gonna have this. She's gonna hatch a scheme where she's gonna make Billy realize how much he needs her,
Yep.
because Billy is he's just young. He doesn't get it yet that his aunt is his ticket to joy.
Yeah.
And then the next morning everything's fine, and she's excited and tells him that it's going to be good that he goes to college.
Yeah, she's made him like a nice breakfast, and he's like, "Well, what about last night?"
It's like all is forgotten.
Yeah. And so he could just go back about his business. And apparently there's a TV repairman's going to be coming around today to fix that darn TV that just don't work.
The damn TV.
Gosh darn it, how am I supposed to watch my Bewitched reruns? So the TV repairman shows up, and Aunt Cheryl tries to seduce him. But he's not interested, even though her boobs are out, and she gets more and more desperate about it, and then he unbuckles his pants and tells her to work on it, and that makes her angry. So, whenever you are a boobs out, angry, horny lady, and someone just told you to work on it, what are you gonna do but pull out a convenient knife and stab him over and over again all the way to death?
In weird stop motion, slow-mo style.
Yep, very, very intense, like with the slashing of the neck, and then like in the back a bunch of times, just chopping them up.
Yeah, she's not hesitant.
Nope. But we see that Billy happens to be watching all of this in the window like a little perv. And he sees the whole thing happen, or maybe he just sees the tail end of it happen. And whenever he comes inside, Aunt Cheryl is bloody boobed, and she tells him, "You saw him. He tried to rape me."
Ouch.
Yikes. Ooh.
You saw him. I stabbed him repeatedly.
Yeah. Oh man, this is at this point. That's whenever I texted you, John, and I was like, "Oh no, this movie."
This movie has some issues.
Oh no, and I had no idea what was to come.
It just sounded like a fun kind of 70s cult classic.
Yeah. So she's covered in his blood. She is still unrobed toppedly, like covering herself a little bit with her hands and getting blood all over Billy. And then the neighbors show up because they're, I don't know, coming over for dinner or something.
Yeah, it's not really clear, is it?
Yeah. And the neighbor lady is wearing a white blouse or whatever, and Aunt Cheryl just goes in for hugsies and just gets blood all over her.
Oh, hi.
Yeah.
He tried to rape me.
Yeah, she tells the story again. And then all of a sudden the police are there, and instead of separating everyone from the scene, the police are just there in the room with the dead body and the people that killed him and witnessed it and everything, and just loudly declare that they don't believe the rape story. And quote, here's a quote from the movie, quote, "Poor guy didn't even get his pecker out." Ooh.
Poor guy didn't even get his pecker out.
Oh my god.
Thank you, Bo Svenson, you homophobic Swede.
Wow.
Also, who called the fucking police? Did they call the police?
I guess they called the police. I don't know. The police are real good at showing up in this movie.
Yeah, they're oddly intuitive at times, and oddly, not so oddly, completely incompetent the rest of the time.
Oh yeah, there's a particular police officer that just knows which tree to hide behind, which shed to show up in the middle of the night for no good reason. Amazing, these police.
These are well trained. Cops.
During all of this, Aunt Cheryl and Billy are just there listening to them say these horrible things, along with their neighbors who don't seem like as cool or into it about stuff. Detective Joe Carlson aggressively questions Billy. He thinks it's actually Billy that killed the guy and that Aunt Cheryl is covering for him. Yay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh. Detective Joe Carlson is wearing, like, what is that? Is that like a corduroy jacket? And
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, always doing stuff with like his thumbs and the belt around his pants, like hitching them up, sticking his thumbs back in there, just lots of belt stuff.
Lots of thumb work.
Yeah, you know the kind of guy I'm talking about.
Detective Joe Carlson.
Oh, God. The next day, Billy sneaks into the attic. There he finds a box that he thinks is interesting and then falls down the stairs with it.
The attic he was just specifically told not to go into.
Yeah, it's like the forbidden attic or whatever, and his Aunt Cheryl is like enrunning documents into the fireplace, and he was like, well, maybe now's the time to go into the unmentioned forbidden attic.
Oh, what's this? Fall.
Oh, what's this? A box full of documents and photographs? Bonk.
Perhaps I shall fall all the way down the attic thing, still holding the box.
Yes. It's a strange scene, but it's cool, I guess. It's a stunt.
Yeah.
And then
That he did.
Yeah. Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, he did. I mean, that was actually Jimmy McNichol falling down that attic stairway, by the way.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. He did his
Yeah, I
own
was like,
stunt.
damn, you go,
Nice.
Nipples.
Yeah, I guess that's why they gave him the big cushiony box to fall with.
You go, Nipsey McNichol.
Jimmy McNipples. The easy joke. There it is, folks.
Whee! I completely overlooked it.
Whoa.
Jimmy McNipples. Oh my god. Oh, I'm done.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so he tumbles to the ground with the box, and a photograph of some dude pops out of the box. We see that devil horns have been drawn on some dude. Aunt Cheryl says it's just some dude his mom used to date. End of scene.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like, okay. All right. Back at school, Detective Carlson confronts Coach Landers about being the gay lover of the dead TV repairman. Oh, shit. Okay.
How does he figure that one out? Do you remember where that came from?
They have wedding rings with their initials in them. And who else could possibly have those initials but CL Coach Landers?
Yeah, that's right.
And he's like, I bet if I look at your wedding ring, I'm going to see TV repairman's initials on them.
TVRPRMN.
How did you know? So at this point, Detective Carlson gives Coach Landers some sound advice, which is, quote, I suggest you resign. If you don't, chances are you're going to get yourself lynched. Yikes!
Yes. Thank you, Detective Carlson, you douchebag.
Whoa! That's just went really intense real quick. Also, it's weird because Billy's last name is Lynch, and I don't think they did that on purpose.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yikes. Yeah, this movie is intense.
It really is.
And uncomfortable. But after that happens, we head back to Aunt Cheryl's drippy shed, which that's not innuendo for anything.
Nope.
She goes into her weird Amontillado chamber to visit a little shrine to the dude in the photo from earlier. It turns out that she didn't want to kill the TV repairman at all, but she wanted to just convince Billy that was something. I don't know. It's not very clear.
Yeah, that she needs a man, so maybe Billy will step in. I mean, yeah. A girl's got needs.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Woo. But then whenever he hurt her feelings, You know, just like the dude she's talking to in the shrine, apparently she says that, you know, he hurt my feelings the way that you did, so of course he had to get McStabbed.
Correct. I'll have the McStabby meal.
Yes, please, double the stab.
The 9-stab meal, please.
Yes.
So then we go back to the interplay between young William Paxton and Billy, and it's another wonderful scene where Paxton is like accusing Billy of being gay with Coach Landers. He's a total fag, and everybody knows it, and so they have to have a little fight.
Yeah,
And it's so ridiculously choreographed.
Yes.
I love the part where McNichol like jumps off of something like Superman jumps onto Bill Paxton. It's just like, what the fuck?
Yes, and then like afterwards, there's just like a bunch of old people standing around them for no reason. There's like just some old lady there.
It's like, that's it. We're going to an old folks' home and fighting.
It's the closest thing we have to a campus around here.
This movie was the moment in my life where I realized that Bill Paxton's mouth is a gigantic line that goes from ear to ear. I think he could probably detach his entire lower jaw if he wanted to.
Game over, man.
Buttweed. So just Paxton. Yes, rest in Pax. So later on, because I up until this point I was a little unclear if maybe Detective Carlson thought that Billy was homosexual. Mm-hmm. I wasn't really sure. So at this scene, at this point he shows up. He shows up and he makes it a little bit more clear. Are you a fag, Billy? Billy, are you a fag? But seriously, Billy, are you a fag? Like, dude. Whoa. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's at this point that you realize that that's like the centerpiece of his entire investigation. It's like, oh, some guy got murdered by some lady that said he tried to rape her. I believe there might be some homosexuals around.
Oh, man, he's really hanging his hat on that.
Yeah. He even asked her at the beginning. He questioned he was like, well, what about your husband, boyfriend? Are you a lesbian?
That guy's, he's a piece of work, this dude. I mean,
what a detective.
He didn't really, because it was almost as if the murder was just secondary to the fact that Billy might be gay.
Yep.
Because if Billy's gay, then it's case closed. They all need to be executed immediately. Yep. I mean, these are deviants we're talking about. We can't have this. Because it does, I mean, after all, as he says, it doesn't make sense for a, quote, fag to try and rape Aunt Cheryl.
Oh, man.
That's not loaded.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, so he basically implies that, he doesn't imply, he just comes right out and tells Billy that Billy must have killed the TV repairman because they were having a lover's quarrel. Mm-hmm. And Aunt Cheryl is just trying to cover for him, because she's his aunt. And then when he leaves, he gives Billy some basketball advice. He hits a basket, and then he shows him that when you take the shot, you want to make sure that your wrist goes limp right when you let go of the ball. Oh, you know how to do that, don't you, Billy?
Oh, man. Oh.
Yeah. But then Cheryl comes in to talk to Billy and basically confront him immediately and then ask him if he knows that homosexuals are very, very sick.
Oh my God, it's so, like, it just keeps coming.
It's really, it's pretty rough.
Oh, man.
So then Detective Carlson is still on the case. He goes to visit Julie because he's going to get straight dope from her. So he's talking to Julie and he's like, hey, Julie, let me ask you this. Are you and Billy, you guys making it?
Oh.
You making it? And in a wonderful moment, she just refuses to tell him, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, she's just not having any of it. She is a great character. I wish she had a bigger role in this movie sometimes, but like, whoa, yeah, she's just like, ooh, you suck, dude.
Yeah, she's just like, man, go pound rocks. I'm not telling you anything. So he basically gets nothing out of her. I mean, she just refuses to tell him, but basically tells him he's ridiculous for thinking that Billy's homosexual, but refuses to tell him anything specific.
Yeah.
And then now we're with Billy and Julie, and they're in bed together, and they are apparently in a post-coital embrace, having a chit chat. It's very nipply.
Very nipply. Possibly also pre-coital. It's hard to tell.
It's hard to tell. And I still, at this point, I was like, is Billy a homosexual? Is that where they're going with this? Are they going to make Carlson like some sort of horrible hero or something? I really didn't know where they were, because I thought, well, I was afraid that what was going to happen here is she was going to start trying to kiss him, and like, oh, Billy, I want you right now. And then Billy's going to be like, hey, I just don't feel good right now.
Yeah.
I was afraid it was going there, but nah, they bone.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like this scene is it's for us, because we were starting to worry that Billy might be a homosexual too. And maybe Billy's the bad guy in this movie.
Yeah, because homosexuals are terrible people.
Yeah, they should probably, I'm not going to finish.
I know, you can't even say it.
Nope.
It's really bad.
Well, yeah, this movie that goes ahead and makes sure that we know that he's not a homosexual, so that we can, move on with the movie.
Yeah, we can feel comfortable seeing the rest of the movie. But
thank God.
Then we get the snooping cam shot where somebody's obviously watching them through the window.
Yeah, and, good stuff.
I mean, who could that possibly be? It's tough to tell, really.
Yeah.
But we're at the halfway point, so we're probably going to get around to it.
Yeah, maybe figure it out.
Yeah. The killer cam.
Yes.
So the killer cam approaches them while they're getting it out. Mm-hmm. And guess what, folks? It's Aunt Cheryl.
Oh, what a surprise.
Oh, shit. And she's angry. She's not happy. She does not like watching Billy laying it down with Julie. And she confronts him. And she basically is, telling him never to do that again. She's very upset with him. And clearly she'll never be able to forget. Oh, and also she's sniffing his hair.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. She's popped in while he's in the shower, and he's just like, come on, my dick's out.
He said, I'll give you a towel. Oh, yeah, that's not creepy.
No.
So then she's back in her shrine, and, she says to the shrine that she's gonna keep Billy here, just like she kept the shrine guy here.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'd yelled at Julie, made her, get out and feel all shamed. And I like you said that she didn't like watching that happen, but also she spent like a long time at the window watching it happen.
She watched the whole thing happen. I'm really uncomfortable. This is not, I just can't. Oh, this is just...
Oh, God, this movie is so intense.
yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So after Julie departs in anger and maybe a little bit of abashedness, she's walking, through the dark yard, and the less interesting of the policemen jumps out from behind a tree and asks her about all the sex that she's been having.
Colonel Blanders.
Yes. Yeah. He looks like a rejected character from The Office, and he's not really interested in the sex that they were having, but whether or not Aunt Cheryl caught them in the dew.
Yeah, not interested in the sex because he has no genitals.
He finds out that yes, indeed, Aunt Cheryl did catch them in the dew, and he brings this information to Detective Carlson. He also brings him rumors about Billy's parents. Maybe they died because the car's brakes were sabotaged.
Dun dun.
Oh, God. And Detective Carlson is like, "You're a dumbass." So, great.
Yeah. And there goes that line of
Yeah.
inquiry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's like, don't do this on company time. This is just a hobby you're pursuing.
That's
Guy.
right. It's like lick the pen, scratch it off the pad.
Yeah. Then back at the house, we see Aunt Cheryl poison Billy's milk. Uh,
Yeah.
she feeds him the milk on his way to the big basketball game that he is going to. She's like, don't forget to drink your milk. He then leaves. Basketball court is full of people, including Aunt Cheryl in the stands. I guess they didn't go together. That's fine. But basketball is then played until Billy collapses on the court and makes horrible skidding noises and is taken home by a very happy Aunt Cheryl. She has made a creepy apartment for him in the forbidden attic, and she tells him that he doesn't want to go back to school because it's full of perverts, and he should stay here so she can teach him things.
Yeah, that was a little unsettling, that whole line there. The school is full of perverts, so you should stay here so I can teach you things.
How very loathsome.
Yes. Don't worry, your entire attic room is full of children's toys.
Yeah, it's weird. It's full of children's toys, and he already has a room there. And she's like, I thought you could use it up here. It's like a little apartment. It's very strange.
She even put a curtain in the window. It's like, wow, you really put a lot of work into this room that was formerly filled with office boxes.
Yeah, it's like, oh, why am I here? After he builds up enough strength, he goes snooping. He finds a box of her keepsakes and realizes that she lied about the dude in the photo. And then he decides to just immediately confront her, not about the dude in the photo, but about the fact that he now suspects that her rape accusation was false.
Billy's sharp, isn't he?
Dang, that's some lateral thinking. He just went straight for the movie plot part of the line of inquiry. Meanwhile, Detective Carlson is threatening a random suspect with a gun, saying fun things like, "Donde es su casa in Mexico?"
Oh, it's so brutal. It's so brutal. It's like, oh good, he's racist too.
Yes. Yeah, his office has all of his Marine Corps badges and certificates. He's got, what is it, horse trophies on the desk?
Yeah, weird, shitty Native American art and horns, bull's horns mounted on the wall and stuff. It's horrible.
It's real bad. Yeah. Oof.
He pulls out a gigantic gun, points it in the guy's face.
The unnecessarily large revolver.
The hand cannon.
Bland fellow detective comes in and tells him that Aunt Cheryl dated a guy that just disappeared one day as part of his hobbyist pursuit about Aunt Cheryl. To this, Detective Carlson does not care.
Just completely dismisses him like he's an idiot.
But no, I think you'll find that I'm much more interested in convincing this guy that he's from Mexico.
Donde es su casa in Mexico? What a twat.
Oh, it's the most twatty. Now Aunt Cheryl has cut her hair short and looks terrifying. She visits her shrine, quote, "No one's ever going to take Billy from us." We then see a desiccated, headless corpse hanging out in a bed that's in the shrine area that we'd never seen that bed or that corpse before. But yes, it is quite Friday the 13th-y.
Yeah, pretty nice little effect there.
Yeah, it looked real good. And it's so quick that you... I paused it, of course, because I wanted to check. But if you're in the movie theater, you're not sure. It's like, wait a minute, did that desiccated corpse not have a head? Because it's just lightning fast. It's real good. Good job on that. Good, you did good, guy. Random director I don't remember his name of.
Ashlock.
Yeah, Ashlock. Billy gets Julie to distract Aunt Cheryl while he goes snooping, because at this point he hasn't figured out that he needs to escape. He thinks that he needs to go digging through her jewelry box some more. And as you might expect, this plan goes poorly.
Go figure.
Yeah. After a great scene of now entirely insane Aunt Cheryl mood swinging at Julie about stuff, like going from angry to sympathetic to super crying, and all the while she is using a giant wooden meat tenderizer to just obliterate a steak.
Yeah.
She then takes that said wooden meat tenderizer to the back of Julie's head and splatters her all over the inside of the refrigerator.
Yeah, she makes short work of Julie.
Yeah, Julie is now dead. But later she'll be alive. It's fine.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Billy. Jesus, it's so weird. Billy and the neighbor are then in there talking to Aunt Cheryl, and the refrigerator door is open and coated in blood. But Billy and the neighbor do not notice the blood. It's fine.
They don't notice the blood that's all over the inside of the refrigerator.
Yeah, and they are standing, like, Aunt Cheryl is between them and the refrigerator. She's not trying to hide it. She hasn't realized it's there, and they're just staring at it, not seeing it.
And there's that moment right before she closes the fridge where she sees it, and she's like, "Oh, no, oh."
I'll just wipe a little bit of this off with the hem of my dress. It's fine.
Ooh, what's this?
And then also, like, while this is going on, she's poisoning Billy some more.
Yeah.
Giving him more poison milk. He wakes up in his room, not his new apartment, which Aunt Cheryl doesn't want the neighbor to know about, so that's why. So because he passed out with the neighbor around, she had to put him back into his normal bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And here it is revealed that Aunt Cheryl is actually his mother, and the neighbor's in the other room, but she did stick around to overhear this fact. And Billy is, like, mostly paralyzed and can only make gurgly noises.
Ugh. Yeah, doesn't she tell the neighbor to look for an umbrella because it might rain or some shit like that?
Something like that, yeah.
There's an umbrella in the closet.
Yeah, at this point, she doesn't really care about the neighbor. She's just waiting to get Billy all alone.
I like how Billy is, like, he's super inquisitive. He's lived with this woman for 14 years, and whenever he gets a chance, he's digging through her shit. But somehow he has not figured out that she has a desiccated corpse in the pickling shed.
Yeah. He will snoop around in the forbidden attic, but will never go into the drippy shed full of gross pickled stuff.
Not once in 14 years did he ever suspect she might do creepy shit in there.
Yeah, no. Oh, what is this? A wall sloppily boarded up? Nothing good could be in there.
Exactly. So, yeah. So she hears, the neighbor hears Aunt Cheryl lying about Julie, and then she discovers that she finds Julie's stuff in the house, and she's, like, sneaking around the house while Cheryl is force feeding Billy basically, like, all the poison.
Yeah,
she's put the whole thing in the milk, and she's just basically just pouring it down his throat, forcing him to drink it, and then at the same time, like, between bits of rage, like bouts of rage, she also is, like, has her gentle moments where she's licking the milk off of his neck.
It's so gross.
It's so nasty.
So, like, milk is pooling on his neck, and she with the sweat, and she's just like, "Oh, let me get that there with my face."
Oh, you're dripping. Oh, Jesus, this lady's amazing.
Also, that's poisoned milk, lady. Jesus.
Yeah.
You poisoned it.
You put the whole fucking bottle in there. And sadly, Julie, who is dead, happily is still alive. And has awake and raring to go in Cheryl's drippy shrine.
Mm-hmm.
And so she looks around, she sees the desiccated body, freaks the fuck out, turns and sees a jar with the pickled head of the young fellow that has been preserved in here. Sort of
photo
preserved.
dude's pickled head. Yeah,
well, I guess the head was preserved. But anyways, so then we cut back, and the neighbor is running through the woods trying to get home. Now, of course, there's a horrible thunderstorm.
Oh, of course.
And it's just terrible thunder and lightning. Very, very frightening.
Galileo.
And then she hears a Cheryl's purring.
Which is a callback to with her, the way that she wakes up Billy, but we didn't know that this is also how she hunts prey in the bush.
It's some sort of strange predatory sign that she has.
That's so weird.
So she hops out of the bushes and she's got this giant machete. And she just completely machetes the lady right in the gut.
Oh, gets her.
Oh, it's great. She murder machetes that lady. And then she discovers that Julie is still alive and is trying to escape. So she stalks her. She's like chasing her down into another shed.
Yeah, there's some random. Unless it's this, is it the same shed and Julie just like got back to it or something?
Yeah, did she leave the shed and then return to the shed thinking she'd be safer in there?
She runs out of the shed, runs around in a thunderstorm, and then goes back into the shed for safety.
But it's okay because Detective Blanders shows up and is immediately hacked to death.
Yeah, it's a pretty good shot. He like reaches up, it's one of those just a light bulb on a string with a pull chain, so he reaches up to turn that on. How he knew to come to this random shed and then like, hey, anyone in here? Let me turn on a light to see, and then got his hand all hacked off.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome actually.
It was good.
So Julie breaks for it, and Cheryl's chasing her through the woods, through the stormy woods, and they somehow end up in some weird like marshy pond thing, which looks like possibly their sewer.
Oh yeah.
And they're like wrestling around, and Cheryl gets on top of her and it picks up this giant rock and bashes Julie's head in. So she finally, screaming slut the whole time, she finally kills Julie.
And now Julie is dead.
Julie is dead, and we won't see her again.
No. Caves her head in with a rock.
Yeah, bashes her skull like 4 or 5 times with a giant rock.
Yeah, I guess the first time it was a meat tenderizer to the back of the head, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then this time it's just a river stone into the front of the cranium.
It's so crazy.
Slut.
So Billy, inside the house, Billy, I don't know why he thinks this is a good idea, but he tries to call the police.
Yep.
And then Mama Cheryl, interrupts him and says, "Get ready, kids. I'm your girlfriend now."
Oh, man.
Pass the hand sanitizer.
Oh, man.
But it's okay because he stabs her in the heart with a letter opener.
Yeah.
One good chunk right in the heart.
Oh, man. Yep.
And then he calls Coach Landers.
Yeah, like you do.
Because, yeah, hey, Coach, I just killed my mother, who is my aunt, but she's really my mother. And Coach Landers is like, what? What are you talking about? I just killed my mother. What? Wait, I'll be right there.
Yeah.
And then Cheryl, who is dead, is now alive. Pops right back up. Just pulls the letter opener out of her heart.
Yep.
like, oh, here's a handy weapon.
Oh, neat.
What? I clearly can't die, so I'll just take this out of my heart and start filleting Billy with it.
Yeah, apparently this letter opener is very sharp and not just slightly pointy.
No, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Billy makes good on one of our favorite movie weapons. He gets a hold of a fireplace poker, and he impales her through the guts and leaves her to die in his lap, where she actually dies. It's amazing.
Yeah, in another good fireplace poker death, like in Black Christmas, where she dies across his lap, just like the horrible boyfriend.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Great. Yeah, Except this one's way worse.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I was definitely more emotionally distraught at this point.
yes, yeah. This movie is very hard to handle.
It's like, woo, okay, wow. Let's regroup here because we're not done.
No, apparently not. Yeah, regroup because now Detective Carlson shows up. And Coach Landers is already there. He's tending to Billy. And then some random beat cop shows up with Julie. He's just like got a blanket wrapped around her. She's fine.
Her head looks like a stewed tomato, but she's good.
Yeah, she's just like vaguely traumatized, a little bit out of it, but she is here to defend Billy's reputation and honor.
Head fully intact, by the way. She's
Yeah.
not even really bleeding. She's fine.
Yeah, nothing resembling a chunk.
No cognitive issues. She's not like, I feel kind of sleepy. Maybe I'm concussed.
Yep.
Nothing like that. She's just good to go.
No slurring, no confusion, her eyeballs are not popping out of her skull or anything.
She's quite the specimen.
Yeah, that girl has a skull of titanium.
It's like 2 inches thick.
Detective Carlson doesn't believe Julie's story that Mother Cheryl killed the milquetoast cop. Instead, he pistol whips Coach Landers for some reason. Oh, after Julie and the other cop leave. And then while pistol whipping Coach Landers, Coach Landers knocks the gun out of his hand. Billy grabs the gun and shoots the entire fuck out of Detective Carlson. The other cop then returns with Julie because they had just left for a second and then decided it was time to come back. He sees that the murder suspect, the guy that Detective Carlson suspected of being the murderer, he sees that this guy has killed Detective Carlson with his own gun, and he just is like, meh, whatever.
He's like pointing his gun at Billy, and then he just kind of like he just has that moment where he's like, nah.
Yeah, it's almost like everyone at that whole police department know that Detective Carlson was a huge piece of shit, and they're so glad that his reign of terror is over.
It just hit him. He was like, hey, wait a minute. I don't have to work with that dickhead anymore.
Oh, man, I've got to go tell the guys.
Go tell that Mexican guy he can go home.
And then, yeah, he leaves. So now he just leaves, like, dead bodies laying all over the place.
Well, I guess this is wrapped up.
Yeah. Oh, this concussed girl that I obviously was intending to take somewhere, yeah, she can stay.
Hey, you guys are good, right? All
Yeah.
right. Latronic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So the movie, I'm wrong. At this point, the movie should be over, but of course, it's not.
No.
Because we get an afterword scrolling across the screen. Billy Lynch stood trial for the slaying of Lieutenant Carlson. The proceedings lasted only 4 days, and the jury unanimously acquitted him on the grounds of temporary insanity. Julie Linden and Billy are currently attending the University of Denver.
What the fuck?
Why?
And if you make a sequel, it's going to be that court case.
Oh, man, yes.
It's a legal drama.
Oh, yeah. And Bo Svenson is back as his twin brother, who is an attorney. A terrible attorney.
Bro Carlson.
Oh, my God. Maybe they could get Susan Tyrell to come back and be like just some random judge, and they just don't address the fact that she looks exactly like Cheryl.
I would totally watch that movie.
I would watch that movie. Of course, then Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker 3, where it's just the two of them and they're at college, would probably not be great.
It's just like a rom-com.
Yes.
They don't even really talk about the past. It's just the trials and tribulations of young folk at college.
Yep. They just never address it except for like one scene, but they never like spell it out. It's great.
Like he goes to a frat party and he gets too drunk and makes out with some girl, and Julie sees it, and there's this all this fallout. It's really sad, but then they get back together in the end.
Yeah, he has like strikingly and tumultuous alcoholism because he can't stomach to drink milk anymore.
Yeah, and there's a scene where they're on the roof of the auditorium or the gymnasium, and they get into an argument, and he accidentally pushes her, and she falls head first to the ground and gets up, and she's fine.
She's fine.
They continue the argument with him on the roof and her on the floor.
Yeah. One time, Bill Paxton is there. He is, of course, Billy's rival on the fencing team. And one time, he accidentally backs up his car over Julie's head while she was laying down on the lawn, and she's fine.
Everything's great.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, she walks in on Billy having a giant homosexual orgy.
Oh, yes. All coaches.
All the coaches. All coaches from all sports. Movie over. Oh my god.
10 out of 10 loathsome things.
So stupid. Oh my god.
Wow, what an amazing trilogy.
Our screenwriting services are for sale, folks.
Yes.
Wee.
Oh man. So John, what do you think of this movie?
I liked it.
Yeah.
It's I mean, yeah, it's the, like you had said earlier, I mean, as we had said, they use the F word a lot. It's thrown around quite a bit. It's one of the main characters is extremely and uncomfortably homophobic, but at the same time, the idea of the movie isn't that he's a good guy. He's a horrible person that nobody likes. And, the most likable character probably in the whole movie is Coach Landers.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Who
Coach Landers
actually is gay,
Yeah.
As far as we know, and seems like a perfectly reasonable person. So it's like got this weird kind of wokeness to it that, while it reminds me of when we were talking about Audition and you were asking me, did I think of it as a feminist movie? And, I listened back to that episode because I was like, what stupid explanation did I give for why I didn't think it was a feminist movie? Because it really does feel like a feminist movie to me. But it's like feminism by way of showing you the ugly reality of the way people actually are. I mean, obviously it's through the scope of a campy, early 80s movie, which it's very much firmly in that world. But at the same time, horror is one of the great things about horror and genre films is that they can address these kinds of issues without making the whole movie about that issue, even though the whole movie is about that issue.
Yes.
It can be about this crazy woman who is psychopathic and has somehow, she has some sort of weird obsession with men and blah, blah, blah. And that's all true. But really the movie is a commentary on, how people can't accept the fact that homosexuality is something normal, that they have to turn it into something terrible and cause all these problems that wouldn't have existed otherwise just based on their fear of these people.
Yeah.
Which is, pretty oddly progressive for a film this retrograde.
Yeah. I mean, I've read that this is one of, if not the first movie to portray a homosexual character as like a heroic person, or at least, like full blown just good at stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he's a perfectly decent person. He, we joke around about how long he spent in the coach's office, but that's because Julie is sensitive to, she doesn't want him to be away from her or whatever. That's basically all that was.
Yeah.
Like you can read into it in the way the movie plays out that there's some implication, but that's not really implied at all. He's just a nice guy who is, being helpful as far as we know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm worried that maybe part of that was to make us question whether or not Billy was gay.
Yeah,
Because there was that, and I don't know, the fact that they like make sure to confirm that Billy is in fact straight was strange, and it was just a weird setup. Also, it could have just been like maybe that like specific detail was just a little bit of like incompetence on movie making.
it could be because I mean, otherwise you're starting to kind of get into like I was going to say gender fluidity, but not gender fluidity, but like preference
Hmm.
fluidity. Like he's not just now he's what he's bisexual. They're implying, like that's way too advanced for a 1981 movie.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's just not something that would have come up. It wouldn't have even been relevant at that time, just because people were so backwards.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, like, yeah, that aspect of this movie is really good. One of the things that I really liked about it was the double horrible villains, like just two completely unique villains, and Billy is just stuck between them. That was fantastic. I will say one of my big problems with this movie is like just offhanded, um like the treatment of rape allegation in this movie is real bad.
Yeah, it's just this kind of throwaway excuse that she takes advantage of.
Yeah, yeah, and like the fact that she's making a false rape allegation because she's a crazy murder person, but then on top of that, well, maybe I don't know, maybe it is, I don't know. Ooh, it's complex. I don't have good thought out sound reasoning on any of this, but it scared me in a more sociological way than like regular terror.
It's hard. It's hard to try to make sense out of some things in these movies when you're doing it through the prism of all this time, because it's easy to just kind of assume that maybe, well, I mean, okay, it would make sense for her to use that excuse. I mean, nothing is beyond her. Like if she's trying to protect herself or whatever, she'll make up any excuse she thinks will work, and that's a pretty good excuse.
Yeah.
But at the same time, so then when we look at it now through the prism of like 2022, we're like, okay, but when you're making a movie and you bring in a rape accusation, and that's not something that you use lightly, that's something serious. But then, okay, in 1981, I don't know how seriously they took that.
That's true. Obviously, and I mean, like part of what they're portraying here is the fact that the police didn't take it seriously.
Yeah,
So even with that, like I'm glad you brought up audition, because like thinking about it related to that,
yeah.
that's interesting. Like whether or not something is just because of it, the extremity of its portrayal. It's really complex. It's interesting. Send us your college essays on the topic.
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
read about people that know more about this and have done research about this and like their thoughts. Like it's really interesting, and I am not prepared to make really good strong arguments on it for one way or the other.
I mean, I could pontificate it on it all day, but I'm certainly not an authority on any of it. I'm a cisgendered male who is going to bring that perspective. As much as I may try to be, open minded and stuff, that's who I am, and I'm not going to forget that when I'm analyzing something like this. I guess ultimately, at the heart of this movie is that it's a movie about gender power, like gender politics. It's, this is a woman who feels powerless, as her role as a caregiver or as a partner or a companion. It's kind of crazy when you think about it like that. It just
Yeah.
plays right back into all the power, imbalances that are so much a part of Western culture, and it's that's really the heart of this movie, which is probably why we still feel so uncomfortable watching it today.
Ooh, it is squirmy. Oof.
It is. I mean, it is legitimately squirmy, but it's also a good movie. It's not bad.
Yeah, and also on that note, like think about the character of Julie, who is just like, okay, yeah, not great photography skills, but she's also like being intimidated by this enormous, disgusting police detective, and she is just not backing down or giving in. She's not like, she's not being portrayed the way that characters like her are normally portrayed in movies. And even like at the end of the movie, she's doing like heroic shit, saving Billy, who you would think would be the one doing all the saving stuff, but she's like, running around getting
Yeah.
her head obliterated over and over again and just not dying because she's such a fucking badass.
Which is a great way of flipping that power structure around. And one of the things that makes movies so cool is that you could put something in a movie like a horror film that seems like a throwaway film, but that's a message that, that could be one of the very first films that ever showed something like that, for all I know. I mean, it was not very common in 1981. You see it more now, but it's still not, it's still something people talk about when it happens. It's like, oh, well, this movie does this. That's interesting.
It is. Yeah, this movie is interesting. It is a cool little nugget of originality. You talked about the similarities with Friday the 13th, and I hadn't picked up on that before you said it, but thinking about it now, like the original Friday the 13th, where it turns out, spoiler alert, it's the mom and not in fact Jason. That was another like moment in horror where there was that weird like gender flip, and you've even got like the machete and all of this stuff, and I'm just thinking back on it and wondering how, I don't remember what year Friday the 13th came out, but I wonder how like co-inspired these are, or if this was like something coming out of the same, I hate being the person to say this word because it's disgusting, but coming out of the same zeitgeist.
Right.
Protege.
The original was 1980.
Okay, so this came out a year later. So it could have been trying to like build off of that a little bit, but it's
possible. I mean, they were probably shooting it. Well, let's see. They would have been probably shooting it when this movie came out. So it's possible that it was influenced by it.
Yeah. It's interesting. There's also, I mean, in the original, there's also a lot of weird guys wearing too short of shorts. And
yes. But that's the 70s, man. That was just the way it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm old enough that, when I used to go to PE class, if you got in trouble enough times, you got swats. I mean, talk about problematic.
Oof. Not okay.
That happened to me many times where our gym coach hit me on the ass with a paddle. I mean, it's just to think of that now is like, what?
Yeah.
Like if my son, well, my son's 18, so he'd probably kill the coach now. Yeah. But when he was a kid, if he had come home and said that, I would have been like, what the hell?
Yeah, we are getting someone fired.
Yeah. Hell, I mean, he one of his teachers scratched his arm with her fingernails, and we tried to get her fired.
Oh, that's not good. That's like how you get infections and shit. That's not okay.
No, it was not okay. That was an ugly incident. And that was just that. Imagine she came home and said, my gym coach hit me on the ass with a paddle repeatedly today. Like, what?
Yeah, that's normal.
Yeah.
What did you say to him?
Jesus Christ.
Oh, man. Time changes fast, apparently. This is 1981. Yeah. What is that? 40 years? 41 years?
Yeah.
Okay. Some 41. We got there.
Some 41. Best band ever.
Oh, my God. Thank you, Canada. So, John, I've been meaning to ask you this question for a while, and seeing the use of a meat tenderizer and seeing the fireplace poker brought back into play, I wanted to ask you, what's a thing that you have never seen anyone killed with in a horror movie that you would really like to see them creatively killed with in a horror movie?
Oh, man. I mean, yeah, I just think about like Friday the 13th had a lot of great creative kills.
Yes.
Because they just kind of had to, because there were so many of them. Gosh, I don't know. And I think about the movie Irreversible with the fire extinguisher.
Oh my God.
That's one of the worst things I've ever seen ever in any movie. You see that?
There weren't horrible things in that movie, John.
Oh my God. I mean, it's a great movie, but Jesus Christ.
Talk about traumatic. Wow.
Yeah, and
Oh,
that wasn't even the worst of it.
yeah. Nope.
Um, yeah, it's hard to say because I'm trying to think of what I haven't seen somebody be killed. I mean, Christ, we saw somebody get cut in half with a murder sled.
And you can't just come up with one of those.
No, that was built from the entire contents of a basement. Murder sled. We got to make a murder sled T-shirt, man.
Yeah. I think that should be go on our TeePublic, guys, and buy the murder sled.
Oh man. Any artists out there want to design the murder sled T-shirt for us, please?
For free.
Yep, for free. We'll give you a T-shirt.
We will put your name on it where it says, "Thank you, this guy, for making us a murder sled cartoon."
We'll put your name on the sleeve for an extra $5
per T-shirt.
Oh my God. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what would be like a cool weapon. I can't think of anything because I just feel like anything I come up with, I'm going to remember some movie where it was used. Can you think of anything?
So it's my fault. I sprung this upon you. I should not have. I'm sorry. But yeah,
no, it's good.
The one that I've been wanting was thinking, okay, the fireplace poker. Obviously, that's the weapon out of your fireplace kit. But what about the rest of the fireplace kit? So what I really want to see is that the tongs, the ones where it's like it like accordions out, where it's like multiple pieces.
Yes.
And I want a really interesting fireplace tongs where they like stick it all the way down the throat and then do the open thing. And yeah, that's what I want.
Oh man, that would be pretty good.
I want a really gory fireplace tongs 80s style horror movie kill.
That's good stuff.
Yes. But there's a lot of good stuff. There's like some crazy movie where like there's a vinyl record that's possessed by demons and it melts them through the speakers and shit.
Nice.
Yeah. So good.
Well, there was the movie with the killer tire. That was pretty good.
Rubber, amazing.
Yeah, love it.
Oh, man.
There's the bed that eats.
Oh, yes, Deathbed. We need to review that at some point because that movie is amazing.
We do. And you know what this movie made me think of? Carrie.
Ooh, yeah.
Talking about gender stuff. Maybe that's the next trilogy we'll attack.
Is there 3 of them?
Isn't there? I know there's at least 2.
I know there's the original, and then there's like The Rage, Carrie 2, but it's not Carrie, it's some other girl or something, maybe. I don't know.
Well, yeah. Okay, so there's the 76 original, Sissy Spacek. There's the 2002 Carrie.
Oh.
And then there's the 2013 Carrie.
Oh my God, I had no idea.
That's messed up. So the 2002 is Patricia Clarkson's in it. Angela Bettis plays Carrie. I don't even remember that movie.
Is that the Rage weird. Carrie 2?
Wait, let me see. No, it's just called Carrie.
What the fuck?
It's just a remake.
The Rage. Maybe I have thing wrong in my head. Oh, the Rage Carrie 2 is from 1999.
Okay, so that's a whole different movie. So there's the Rage Carrie 2, but then there's the 2002 Carrie, and then there's the Chloe Grace Moretz 2013 Carrie, Julianne Moore, Judy Greer, Portia Doubleday, some other folks. Actually, that oddly enough, that movie is not that bad.
It sounds pretty good based on.
It's not that bad. The other one is not great from what I remember. It kind of reminds me of the Black Christmas movies because the first one is a complete classic, and then the second one is not real good, and the third one's not actually that bad. Except I don't think they really changed the story up too much.
Yeah. Okay. So kind of like Silence of the Lambs movies featuring Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah. Different name, exactly same movie.
Yes.
It's like the remake of Misery with James Caan and Roseanne Barr.
You got barred.
Starring Bill Barr and Roseanne Barr.
Oh, fantastic. John,
Yes.
if you had to rate this movie on a scale of 0 to 5 loathsome things, how would you do that?
I think I'm going to give this movie a 3.5 loathsome things.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, as I've said before, I think a 3. I like it a little bit more than a 3, but not enough to say a 4, because a 4 is like a full step from masterpiece, and it's not a masterpiece. And but it is better than just watchable. I mean, it's actually a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it, and I would recommend it to horror fans.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's not all the way there. I mean, it is no fault of the actors or the writers, but I do feel like there were times where it just wasn't adding up to its potential as far as like visually on the screen.
True.
I ended up giving it a 3.8.
Hmm.
So that's what, 7.3.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7.3 out of 10, which is still fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
um I think one of my favorite things about this movie is anytime like Cheryl moves out of the room. What's the actress's name?
Oh, Susan Tyrell.
Susan Tyrell. So anytime it's just Susan Tyrell and the camera, she just does fantastic face stuff. So like she'll go from the kitchen where there are people, and then she's going to go into the den where there are other people, but for a minute she's just in the living room and it's just her and the camera, and we
Hmm.
get to like see the whole thing change. It's magnificent.
It's a shame that she didn't make more of a name for herself. I recognized her face. It took me a little while, but when I went back and looked over her, her credits, I there was nothing particularly that really stood out for me, which is a shame, because I think she's pretty unique talent.
Yeah, she's definitely suited for this movie. She kind of reminded me of other women's faces from the time, like I want to say like kind of Gabor-esque.
Hmm. With those
uh
thin eyebrows.
yeah. Yes, but then of course then the wig goes away and she turns into an entirely different terrifying monster.
Yes, that's true.
She's so good in this, and I looked up the other things that she's done to see if there were any other things that I was interested in. Mostly it came up with nah.
Yeah, she was in Bad, the Andy Warhol movie, which is good stuff. She was in Crybaby, the Johnny Depp John Waters movie. She was friends with John Waters, so
Huh?
she obviously was an outsider. I mean,
Yeah.
she was a different kind of lady, obviously, which is awesome, and that definitely comes across on screen. But it's a shame that she never really got showcased. She gets showcased in this, but this is I mean, I'm 53. It took me that long to find this movie. This is not like a classic in the everyone knows it sense.
Yeah, I don't think it made a humongous splash.
No, and I mean, I guess that's probably fair. But she is great to watch in it.
Yep. Yep. So if you made it this far and you aren't completely turned off to the movie based on everything we said, definitely watch it. It has great performances. It is just super intense. I think you said, didn't you tell me this is like the screenwriter based it off of Oedipus Rex?
Oh, I didn't read that, but apparently it was based off of a novel.
Okay.
And
Okay.
apparently, in the novel, the characters have much deeper backstories, and uh, there's some things that are different. They don't reveal the mother thing until the very end, and there's as opposed to the like kind of crappy postscript in this movie where they went to college and he was acquitted. Uh, they, they actually resolve the characters in much more depth apparently in the novel. But then again, who knows anything about the fucking novel? No one's read it, and the movie is kind of a classic. So
Yeah, exactly. When did that start happening in movies where you had to have that stupid sprawl afterwards where it tells the dumb shit in a fake movie? Like at no point did this say like based on real events or even try to pretend that that was going on, but then they had to like wrap it up with that? What is that? Why is
I don't
that?
know. I don't know. There was nothing in that movie that cried epilogue needed.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Like, oh, he went to college with Julie. Great. Don't give a fuck. Who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah, they're still in college together in 2022 when you are watching this.
They're still in college.
They suck at learning.
They're terrible learners. But to be fair, she's been hit in the head so many times and has never once even had a bruise.
And then poor Jimmy's just never really been good at anything except basketball.
And there was that period there where his nipples ran for president. Yeah.
Yep.
Jimmy McNichols.
Yep, Jimmy McNichols. The joke that it took us a surprisingly long time to realize.
Oh no, it took you. I would have still be saying Jimmy McDickpants or whatever. Jimmy McAmazing nipples.
Woo!
And you're like, oh, do you mean Jimmy McNipples? It's like, oh, thank you, Josh.
Yeah, it's right there. Oh, man. So if you have thoughts on the things that we've said, or would like to share your college essay with us, or would like to lodge a complaint, anything of those natures, you can reach out to us on Twitter and Instagram at Loathsome Pod. Good luck spelling that. I'm just kidding. You know how to spell. And on Facebook at Loathsome Things. Yes.
Please send us recommendations. We've had a couple, and we have already released one of them. And,
Yep.
I mean, hey, I'm not saying that we will do the other one, but we might.
We may.
Just
Audition
saying.
was a recommendation, right?
Audition was a recommendation from my friend Ramon, and it was a
Yes.
great one.
Oh, it was good. Thank you again, Ramon. Yes, please send us recommendations. We don't have any of our own ideas.
No, we're blank slates, basically.
Yeah. Empty vessels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Empty vessels.
Yeah. And join us in 2 weeks where we review some other movie. We're not sure what yet.
God, that was a Star Trek reference.
Whoa, I thought you didn't watch Star Trek, my dude.
I see them. I watch the movies,
Did you see the one where Scotty talks into the computer mouse as if it's a microphone and he goes, "Hello, computer"?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
What
I
a
think those are
dick.
the same movie.
Yes. Wessel.
Wessel. Yeah. What is this? Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker features no crossover actors with Star Trek. So we're fine, folks. Everything's
good.
fine here. I also didn't
Carry
see
on.
a lot of feet, which,
Yeah.
apparently when you put the names of actresses in the credits for your podcast, you're going to get some impressions for people looking for that actress's feet.
Why? I don't know why I was surprised, because I shouldn't be, but I was.
Susan Tyrell, feet.
Yep.
Yep, it's coming.
Oh my God.
All right, John, do you have anything to say to the nice people before they go back about their business?
Well, I hope you had a good New Year, and I hope this year goes well for everybody. And stay tuned, because we're gonna cover more ridiculous shit.
Yeah. If you're thinking about doing anything bad in January, don't.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. It's not good.
Just watch some scary movies.
Do that instead. It's way better.
There's a lot of them.
There are quite a few. Many of them for free.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye bye.